5 game changers for wavy hair. When you're new to embracing your waves or the curly curl method or whatever it is that you're doing, it can be really overwhelming to see how many options there are. Every different influencer or YouTube channel or blog is telling you, try this technique or try that product, and it's hard to know what you really should be trying. I guess, first of all, there isn't really a should. You can try whatever you want to try. You don't have to try anything you don't want to try, but I thought I would do a video sharing my top 5 wavy hair game changers, to kind of tell you the 5 things that I would recommend that you try if you haven't already. These are the 5 things that I've felt have made the biggest difference in my own hair, and so if you're looking for things that are likely to give you like the biggest bang for your buck or make the biggest difference, these would be the 5 things that I would suggest that you try. Everybody's hair is different, so these may or may not work for you, but these are my top 5 recommendations. First is hair gel. A lot of people are really hesitant to try using gel. A lot of people associate it with like really stiff hair or sticky hair, and gel doesn't have to be that way. If you're not familiar with Scrunch Out the Crunch, type that into Google, but basically you use gel, you let your hair dry, and then you like squeeze or squish your hair, and then that stiff feeling and that wet look should go away, but the benefit of the hold that you got from that gel will remain. A lot of people try to avoid gel by using things like leave-in conditioners, curl creams, other like hair creams, defining creams, hair oils, all sorts of different things people try to use in place of gel, and most hair products on the market aren't really there for hold, at least things like leave-ins and creams. Some creams, curl creams in particular, or defining creams, do have a little bit of hold, but their primary goal is to moisturize your hair. And so that's significantly different from a product like gel, which has the primary goal of defining your hair and giving it hold. If you really don't want to try gel, then I would say try a mousse that has hard hold, because that's kind of the closest thing to gel. My second recommendation would be to try diffusing. This one, I understand why people can be a little hesitant on it, because you might have to buy a blow dryer or a diffuser or both if you don't currently own them, and so there's a little bit more of an investment with this than there might be in other things, but you can get both for probably around $25–30. And for some hair types at least, it can make a really big difference in the results of your hair. If you have lower porosity hair, really thick hair, or just otherwise have hair that takes a really long time to dry and your hair is wavy, then it's likely that your hair gets straightened a lot as you air dry, just from the weight of that water weighing your hair down before it has a chance to dry. And so diffusing is a way to essentially blow dry your hair but without disrupting your waves or curls, and it gets that water out of there faster, so it can leave your hair a lot tighter than air drying for a lot of people. For me, the difference between air drying and diffusing results can be really dramatic. My hair is usually much straighter if I completely air dry. And also with my hair type, if I try to use a gel or a mousse and then air dry, it will literally take more than half of a day for my hair to air dry. So diffusing is also just a much more practical option for hair types that take really long to dry. Third is try to avoid combing or brushing your hair between wash days. So some people like to use a brush or a comb to style their hair on wash day, like a Denman brush or something like that. And that's not what I'm talking about. If you like using those methods, that's totally cool. But after your hair has been styled and it has dried, try not to brush or comb your hair again until your next wash day, or when you're going to wash it again next. For most people with wavy hair, if you style your hair wavy and then you brush it or comb it after it's dried, it's going to dramatically lose definition, and it's going to also straighten out quite a bit. For a lot of people, that's going to leave them with really big but puffy hair. The exception to this is if you are looking for like really loose beachy waves, then sometimes like lightly brushing out your like natural pattern can kind of give you like big voluminous waves. Some people like doing that, but if your goal is to maintain tightness or to maintain definition, then usually trying to not brush in between is the best way to make that happen. Number 4 is damp styling. And what I mean by that is letting your hair dry a little bit, often by plopping or micro plopping, before you add your gel or your mousse, whatever you're using for hold. When I was new to all of this, all the content I found said that you have to style your hair while it's soaking, dripping wet. And so that's what I did for quite a long time, I think over 6 months. That did work. It wasn't bad necessarily, but once I discovered damp styling, I was shocked at how plopping for like 10 minutes before I add my gel would dramatically cut down how long I need to diffuse for, and it also gave me better volume. I do lose a little bit of definition. I may get a little bit more frizz when I'm damp styling, but for me, the trade-off is very well worth it. I tend to like a little bit of volume more so than like absolutely maximizing definition anyway. But the fact that it cuts off like 25 minutes of diffusing time was pretty much enough for me to like jump on the damp styling train. I guess I would say if you really struggle with stringy curl clumps or with getting your curls to clump, then you probably shouldn't damp style yet. You're probably still in the phase where you're going to want to really keep water in your hair to get bigger curl clumps and just get your hair more moisturized. But I think for a lot of people, their hair is quite dry when they start the curly girl method. And then if you do things like squish to condish or use the bowl method, use deep conditioners regularly, then over time your hair will like naturally clump more easily. And then at that point, you probably can play around with damp styling. Number 5 is don't be terrified of protein. I'm not suggesting that you run out and try really intense protein treatments or that you put protein in everything you're doing to your hair, but I know that I really tried to avoid protein for a really long time because I had read about protein overload and how some people had it so bad that their hair would like snap off, break off, and that just really scared me and I didn't want to damage my hair, of course. So I really tried to avoid protein for a really long time. And I also thought that my hair was lower porosity, and so I thought it shouldn't need that much protein. And I've since come around to believing that the argument that low porosity hair doesn't need protein and high porosity hair does need protein is kind of simplified. I think your hair strand texture is a big factor as well. If you have fine or even like normal thickness hair, even if it's lower porosity, you're probably going to benefit from some protein. My hair really likes protein because it's fine. I would say don't be afraid to try some protein. Most of the time, if you're not doing really extreme protein treatments or if you're not doing protein treatments constantly, you're not going to get super bad protein overload. And if you get a little bit of protein overload, you can use a clarifying shampoo and then a protein-free deep conditioner and kind of reset that problem. So it's not a super scary thing, or it doesn't have to be like tragic if you do experience protein overload. And for some hair types, trying protein or adding protein into your routine can make a really big difference in your results. For me, I get tighter curls and my hair physically feels better. It like physically feels stronger. My hair skews so like soft and silky that it feels weak, I guess. It feels like I don't feel like my hair is rough after using a protein treatment, but it's like protein treatments kind of give my hair like a backbone or something like that. It's stronger, but in a really positive way. And I took way too long to try protein, and once I did, I was shocked at how much it helps my hair just feel better, look better, and ultimately you'll have to kind of experiment to find your ideal moisture and protein balance because it is so specific to the individual person. So I don't think you should totally avoid protein. Don't be terrified either way. Just try to experiment slowly and safely and learn about your hair as you go. I love protein and I wish I hadn't waited so long to try it. So those are the 5 things that I did that I feel have made the biggest difference in my results over time. I would love to hear what your game changers are. What are the things that you've done that made the biggest difference in embracing your waves? Leave me a comment below.